Now I'm actually recording all of these videos that are gonna post over next month back to back to back to back. But I'm like changing my shirt in between so it looks like they're, yeah, I don't know. Maybe me telling you that defeats the point of that. I have my little bread meow shirt on. Okay, so this one is going to be best books of the month for the last 6 months, which, yeah, I know I'm really behind on that. But I didn't have a lot of books, any of those ones that I really, really loved. I wasn't reading quite as much just because of everything that was going on with houses and renovation work and like all that stuff. My life this last year and so has been just absolutely crazy. So yeah, everything's behind. But that's okay. Everything's getting settled now, and soon I will have more time. All right, so starting in December, my favorite books in December were The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Benet. This is Shadow of the Leviathan, Book One. This is such a cool world. It's a fantasy world where there's these giant walls built because leviathans live in the sea and constantly come in to like destroy the whole population, and humans have developed different modifications, genetic modifications to give them special abilities. We are with an investigator and her assistant, and he has the ability to remember everything he sees. It's very well done mystery, very interesting world, and I really loved it. All right. The other one I read and really loved in December is Dealing with Mapinguari and Dogged Engineers. This is the second book in the Sorcerer's Grimoire by A.J. Sherwood. This was a very cute, cozy fantasy about a sorcerer guy who adopted two teenage boys and ends up really liking this colonel soldier dude that he's going around to help fix problems with. It's very cozy, fun, with some magic and adventure and stuff like that. And I really enjoyed it. And I do want to read more A.J. Sherwood books, but I just have not gotten to that point, I guess. I keep forgetting. All right. So, best books of January. I did have four books I read and really enjoyed in January. The first one is All the Water in the World by Erin Kafal. Um, I'm trying to remember these, so it was a while ago now. This one was like a post-apocalyptic novel about the water rising, and there's a girl and her family, and they've been surviving in like the top of a high rise, and I think it's in New York City. And things happen that they have to flee. Things happen to her dad, and it's about this girl just trying to survive in this world full of water. Um, I I really enjoyed it. I thought there was a lot of good adventure in there. I thought there was a lot of interesting. It's just an interesting look at a world like this. Really like the characters, so I enjoyed that. And ironically, the second book I really liked also had water in the title, and that is Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambo. Yambao, probably. This one, like, if you could take a Studio Ghibli movie and make it into a book, that's what Water Moon was, but a little bit more adult. Um, this is about a girl who helps her father run a shop where they take away people's possibilities. So if you made a choice and you want to forget that you had the other option, you can get rid of it at this shop. And when a man comes in who doesn't want to do that and is trying to help this girl find her father goes missing, they end up in a completely different, really crazy, like anime esque type of world. And I thought it was really, really cool. I've never read anything like it, and I would highly recommend. All right. Third book I read in January that I really liked is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, which is the third book in the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. All the books in this have been really nice and well done. I enjoy. It's about like a woman professor who studies fairy. She has a. I don't want to give any spoilers. So she has a fellow professor that travels with her sometimes, helps her study fairy. And this one, she's trying to make a compendium of lost fairy tales. It also involves some things that have happened, like with the other professor. These are all very kind of funny and cute and cozy, and I like how they get into like Fey mythology and stuff like that. All right. The last one I read and really enjoyed in January is The Otherwhere Post by Emily J. Taylor. Um, I'm going to say this one's like about Like there's a world that's like split into different places, and like the gate between the two gets shut, and the one of the girls delivers a post. She's trying to help figure out why that happened. That was a horrible explanation of that, but I thought was really well done. All right, best books of February. I had three in February. I really enjoyed. The first one is Witch Hat 8 Layer Volume 13 by Kamomi Shirahama. Uh, this one, so these are manga. They are, I would say, like middle grade young adult fantasy manga. And this one in particular, there's a lot of action. They had to really face off against the big evil that was attacking the festival. And I love the illustration in these. I really enjoyed that the story made so much progress in this one, and that they had a lot more like action. All right, the second book I read and really enjoyed in February is Lightning in Her Hands, which is the second book in the Wild Magic series by Raquel Vasquez Gilliland. This is a paranormal kind of romance, small town series. I really like this one, and I started out thinking I wouldn't like it quite as much as the first one. I really love the first one too, because the sister that they're following in this one, she's very much not the type of person that I would relate to, but she ends up involved again with like her high school sweetheart, um, and she can control weather. So when her emotions get out of control, things kind of get out of control in general. So like it's very, I don't know. It was interesting. Like things can really go wrong if she doesn't have herself under control. So have her being in emotional turmoil is kind of a bad thing. I'm like struggling here with these beings that are just all over the place. Anyways, yeah, I really like that one too. The third one I read in February that I really loved is A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman. I had not read a Frederick Bachman novel before. Bachman novel before. Um, it was really good. I thought there was a lot in here that was good. There's a lot about life and dealing with older people and how they interact in the community and how younger families interact in a community. It was just very heartfelt, and I really enjoyed it a lot more than I expected. It's kind of different from what I normally read, but in the future, I would definitely pick up another Frederick Backman novel. All right, in March, I had four books that I read and really loved. The first one is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I had been wanting to read a Kristen Hanna book, and this is the first one I had read. This was an incredibly well done book about World War II, but it's shown from the point of a couple of sisters that live in France. One joins the resistance, and one is just trying to like keep their family safe at home. Um, this was just incredible to read. I'm honestly a little burnt out on World War II books. I've read a lot of World War II historical fiction, but I thought this was a really good viewpoint, both because it was from France's viewpoint, but also it followed what a lot of the women were going through, and kind of their part in the resistance. Like you hear the part in the resistance, but then you hear also what the women are dealing with who are just trying to keep their children safe at home. And it was absolutely a stunning read. I would highly recommend it. All right, on a very different note from that one, the second book I read and really enjoyed in March is The Great Space Iguana, Hilo, Book 11 by Jeff Winnick. I continue to read the Hilo series, which is a middle grade, like very funny science fiction slash fantasy graphic novel series. I just enjoy these characters so much. I think they're so much fun. I love the bright, colorful illustration, and I will keep reading them, even though my son stopped reading them probably 5 or 6 years ago, or maybe even 10 years ago at this point. I don't know. I like them. All right. The next book I read and really enjoyed in March is A Drop of Corruption, the second book in the Shadow of the Leviathan series by Robert Jackson Benet. I just talked about the first one, so the second one is kind of in a similar vein. These are very interesting to me. I really love the world, and I really love the weird characters and their abilities and stuff. All right. The fourth book I really loved in March, I think I said May before. This is all March, is Cold as Hell, Haven's Rock, Book 3 by Kelly Armstrong. This is a spin-off series from, why am I blanking? Can't remember now the name of the region. Anyways, it's about characters who have made a safe haven for people who need like witness protection up in the Yukon wilderness. They always have an element of survival. They always have something that happens, like somebody is found dead or injured or goes missing, and they have to figure out if it involves like the wildlife, if it involves the weird natives that kind of just live in the area. Well, not, well, yeah, they're natives, but like people who choose to live these solitary, you know, primitive lifestyle, or if it involves people in their camp who are supposed to be under protection. So very well done mystery. I enjoy the characters in these a lot. This one had the added complication the main character is very pregnant and she's in the wilderness and she's got a very risky pregnancy. So she's supposed to be getting um, care, extra care, but instead she's dealing with tracking down a murderer. So, you know, the lad stress there. All right. Then I have the best books of April. There were two in April that I read and really enjoyed. First one was another Kelly Armstrong novel, and that is Death at a Highland Wedding, a Rip Through Time book 4. This was hands down my favorite book in this A Rip Through Time series. And this one, they are going out to the country to go to a wedding. And it starts out with like animals ending up dead. And they're trying to figure out what is going on. The groundskeeper is blaming everything like on some of the local people, and the guy who owns the estate just wants to get along with everybody. The mystery here is very, very well done, and I continue to enjoy watching a modern detective in like a Victorian world helping solve mysteries. Um, it was kind of an added bonus that the romance between the Undertaker, the guy who's like, he basically runs a morgue and is trying to start to use investigative clues to help figure out causes of death. And this investigator, that romance is finally making a little bit of progress. Like, it's been very slow burn, but it's making a little bit of progress, which is nice and interesting because you have a Victorian man and like a modern woman like trying to navigate this weird time travel situation there. All right, and then the second book I read and really loved in April was The Inevitable Ruin, Dungeon Crawler Carl, Book 7 by Matt Dinneman, narrated by Jeff Hayes and Travis Baldry. Narration on these is amazing. The story is amazing. The characters are amazing. The world's amazing. It's amazing how complex everything has got, but you can still like follow everything without too much difficulty. So, very much enjoying the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and I would recommend it. All right, and then lastly, in May, I had one book I read and really enjoyed. May was an absolutely chaotic month for me. I actually DNF'd a number of books just because I didn't have the patience to deal with anything I wasn't loving. So that says a lot for this book, and that was Chain Gang All Stars by Nana Kwame Adjei-Brenyah, and I know I said that wrong, and I apologize. But this was a very well done book, and I talked about it a little bit in Stacking the Shelves as well. But it is a near future. In the near future, rather than stay in prison, you can sign up to be in these like gladiator type trials, and you can work your way to freedom. There's a lot of issues with that. The characters in here were amazing, and the gang that they're all in together to like work through this tier was really well done. I really enjoyed both like the game gladiatorial aspects of it. There's a lot of action there, but there's also a lot of political commentary about the fairness of the political system and people who are trying to push back against that and all that. And one of the things that really made this book, I think, exceptional was all the current day prison stats that are put into the footnotes so that you can kind of draw relation to between current state political system or prisoners system, crime and punishment system, whatever you want to call it, and this futuristic system, which of course takes everything to extreme, but there are a lot of parallels. So I really liked Chain Gang Wrestlers. All right, so you know that's 1, 2, 4. Let's see, 6 plus 3, 9 plus 4, 13, 15. So that's like 16 or 15 books that I read and really enjoyed in the last like, I don't know, 6 months. Hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing me ramble about that. I will try to get a little bit better doing these posts more regularly now that I am actually in one house and not trying to take care of two, and a new job, and you know, not dealing with sick cats and stuff like that. We should be good to go. We just have kittens now. I mentioned in previous book, this black and white one is Artie. He's been like sleeping really nice through this whole video making process. Mito is the orange little dude, and I don't think he ran through this time, but he is not as good. They're both under a year old, so they're both very much learning to be cats still, which part of that is learning your manners, like don't knock over tripods and don't run on keyboards, and don't jump into people's dinner plates. So we're working through all of those things with them right now. Okay, with all that being said, I'd love to hear about any books that you read and really enjoyed in the comments below. Um, I hope you guys have a great month of reading ahead of you, and I will talk to you guys in a couple weeks, hopefully. Bye.